Well, I want to introduce to you Pinnacle Forum partner Ford Taylor. Ford has been around Pinnacle Forum for many, many years. He's doing some amazing work that I want you to hear about, but we've only got 3 or 4 minutes to introduce him. Ford is doing especially work in city transformation. And Ford, why don't you talk about that just a little bit?
Well, Chuck, my background's in business, which is where a lot of us started. And I still do a lot of business consulting, leadership training, but a lot of that now is in cities, in nations, whether it's with governments. But what we found is that if we can get leaders in a city to take their influence and come together around a common language, a common vision, purpose, and mission with clear objectives, strategies, and action plans, if they can lay their life down to one another, and humble themselves before God and submit to one another. If they can put these things on paper, write a vision so people don't perish, make it encouraging, inspiring, inspirational, practical, implementable. That as these leaders come together, successful in their own rights, they don't have to give up what they're doing to be able to come and work alongside of these leaders. They can have a great impact on their communities and or their industries. And so that's what we're doing and just having a blast doing it.
You're pretty successful in business too, weren't you?
Yeah, we grew a company from, I guess it depends what you call success. We grew a company from 180,000-ish in sales to about 300 million back in the early 80s up to the late 90s. And a lot of people call that success. As you know, I had some failures along the way, morally. But yeah, from a business standpoint, and now I love to go out and help other people do that, not make the mistakes I made and have those successes. So we try to do both. We do it with, companies, governments, cities, but if we can get them to work together to have a kingdom impact on their city, that's really that's what floats my boat, Chuck.
And of course, Ford and I just recorded a podcast. So if you'd like to know more about that whole story, click on the link that's below. But Ford, if people want to know more about what you're doing and some of the philosophy behind it, is there something they can read or a website that they can go to learn more about Ford Taylor and what's going on?
Yeah, Chuck, you asked me earlier about this book that I wrote called Relational Leadership. It talks about lots of tools on how to get people to work together, and the difference is relational people and transactional people, but that's just the foundation of the name. That's one way. We also have an online platform that people could go to called tlondemand.com. And then we have a business website called transformlead.com. Because we do a lot of work in businesses and governments, you won't see a lot of spiritual things on those websites, but you will realize as you watch them and see them, the undergirding of all of them.
And your podcast, fordtaylortalks.com?
Yeah, so we do have a podcast that we do go a little deeper there. Sometimes we stay what we call plain glass, which is covert, and sometimes we go stained glass, which is overt. And the second half of the training on TL On Demand is overt. It's called the missing link. But yeah, so we do both. We try to stay covert, that gets us into places that a lot of Christians can't get into. And then when the doors open, we don't waste any time going overt, letting them have it, letting them know.
All right,
the rest of the story.
God had a plan for everything that Ford learned while he was in business, and called him to that, and that's what he's doing today. You might want to know more about it. You might want to contact Ford. I'm sure you can do that through the website. Ford, it's been a pleasure introducing you to all of our Pinnacle Forum partners. Thank you, brother.
Thank you, Chuck, and thank you for the years of relationships and hard work.